how to build systems to actually achieve your goals. They told you the secret was to work harder, want it more, or wake up at 5 a.m. But what if I told you that all of that might actually be keeping you stuck in the same place? That maybe the problem isn't you, but the system, or the lack of one. The truth is, willpower is like a phone battery. It starts full but drains quickly. And if your life depends on it, you'll be stuck in charging mode forever. Now, imagine having a structure that works even when you're tired, unmotivated, and juggling 1,000 things at once. A quiet engine that turns intentions into processes, and processes into inevitable results. No magic tricks or secret formulas, just a well-thought-out method that removes friction and makes things happen on autopilot. And the best part? This isn't some far-off theory. You can start today, with the same hours you already have, and still gain more work-life balance, more freedom, and more control. But to do that, you need to understand how to build systems that survive your worst days, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. Why think in systems? Picture someone trying to navigate a rushing river with a bucket in hand, bailing water out of the boat every time it splashes in. That's how most people live, reacting to problems, relying on willpower as if it were an endless fuel source. But thinking in systems is like installing a perfectly tuned engine and a steady rudder. You're no longer forced to paddle like crazy all the time. When we create processes, an automatic routine works for us, even when motivation disappears and the body begs for rest. Why is that so powerful? Because life isn't a perfect day with mild weather and wind at your back. There are obstacles, storms, and days when even getting out of bed feels heroic. And if your plan only works when every condition is perfectly aligned, it's not a system. It's a gamble. Thinking in systems means creating mechanisms that run on autopilot, cutting friction so you can take action even on bad days. Those who master this gain freedom and control over their time. It's the difference between waking up every day improvising or following a well-rehearsed orchestra that plays on its own. And here's the curious thing. Once we start seeing life this way, we realize that intentions and plans alone rarely produce lasting results. And that's when we begin to understand what truly separates dreamers from doers. Most people operate on intentions or plans, and they fail when life gets messy. Most people live in the land of intentions. I need to work out, I should study more, I'm going to eat better. Sometimes they take a step further and make plans. I'll run 3 times a week, I'll read for an hour every night. But then a day comes when traffic is jammed, the boss calls a last-minute meeting, or the body simply says, not today. And just like that, that good intention gets swallowed by the routine. The problem is, intentions and plans, no matter how sincere, are fragile. They rely on fresh willpower, that initial burst of energy that doesn't last forever. When fatigue sets in, motivation vanishes, and the minimal effort needed to act suddenly becomes a wall too high to climb. It's like building a house on sand. The first rain takes it down. This is where the game changes. When we understand that the enemy isn't the goal itself, but the way we try to reach it. And if the method fails on good days, it certainly won't survive the bad ones. That's when we see the need to turn intentions into repeatable processes that work even when everything seems to be working against us, and that brings us to the next step. Systems turn intentions into repeatable processes that work even on bad days. When someone learns to think in systems, a quiet but powerful shift happens. An intention stops being just a wish written in a pretty notebook and becomes a living process, an automatic routine that doesn't depend on waking up motivated. It's like having a solid track laid down for your train to run on, rain or shine. You don't wake up wondering, will I do it today? You just do it because the system is already in place. Let's say your goal is to read more. A typical plan might say, I'll read before bed. But a system says, I keep my book on the kitchen table, and every day while I have coffee, I read 5 pages. That works even if you're tired, because the action is designed to require minimal willpower. This is the magic of repeatability. The engine keeps running, even on bad days. And the fascinating part is how these processes gain strength over time. The more the system works, the more mental energy it frees for other areas of your life. You start to achieve work-life balance without having to manufacture motivation every day. And that freedom and control spark an inevitable question. How do you create systems so well built that they can survive any storm? 3 principles for creating effective systems. 1. Think holistically. Thinking holistically is like seeing the entire chessboard before making your first move. Most people fail because they only look at the next move, ignoring the obstacles, shortcuts, and traps that might be ahead. When you're building a system, you have to anticipate failures before they happen. Not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. It's the difference between going on a trip with a detailed map or just saying, "I think it's that way." This wider view starts by looking at the past. What plans have you tried and abandoned? Why didn't they work? Maybe it was fatigue, lack of time, or constant distractions. By identifying these patterns, you create solutions that are already built to handle them. For example, if you know evenings are chaotic, move the task to the start of your day. That's time optimization in action, without romanticizing willpower. And here's the beauty of it. When you think in systems like this, every obstacle stops being a problem and becomes raw material for the system itself. You start playing with the cards you have, not the ones you wish you had. And that sets the stage for the next principle, the one that ensures the system not only works but keeps working day after day, even in the worst conditions. 3 principles for creating effective systems. 2. Build for repeatability. Building for repeatability is like designing a bridge that can handle not just sunny days, but storms, strong winds, and heavy traffic. A real system can't rely on those rare moments when every condition is perfect. It has to work on your worst day, when exhaustion takes over, motivation disappears, and your schedule is upside down. That's why minimal friction is so crucial. Each step has to be easy enough that you have no excuse not to take it. Think about someone trying to start meditating. If the plan requires 40 minutes of total silence in a scented room, one noisy day will make it fall apart. But if the system allows for 3 minutes of breathing in the car before work, it fits into any day. That's the power of low-effort solutions. They're small enough to fit into your worst day, yet consistent enough to deliver huge results over time. And here's what most people miss. Repeatability doesn't mean monotony. It means creating a pattern flexible enough to survive mood swings, unexpected events, and drops in energy. A system like that is almost unstoppable, but it can still be weighed down if it relies on temporary patches. That's where the 3rd principle comes in, the one that separates a solid foundation from quick fixes. 3 principles for creating effective systems. 3. Remove Band-Aids. Band-Aid solutions are like that piece of tape holding your phone charger together. It works for a while, but one wrong move and it stops working. In the beginning, it's normal to use temporary fixes, a quick nap to make up for lack of sleep, a phone timer to stay focused. But the problem is, they don't address the root cause. If your sleep is poor, the real solution isn't napping. It's building habits that ensure quality rest. Take someone who's always late for work. The Band-Aid might be ordering a rideshare every time they miss the bus. It works, but it's expensive and doesn't solve the real issue. Changing habits, like getting things ready the night before or going to bed earlier, builds a solid foundation. That turns a fragile patch-filled system into an automatic routine that's resistant to failure. The key is to understand that these patches aren't villains. They're temporary supports while you build something better. The danger is getting stuck with them forever. Once you start removing this dead weight, the system becomes lighter, more efficient, and has fewer points of failure. And that's the moment when theory meets practice, and your system starts to take real shape. The practical process. The practical process is like polishing a rough stone. You start with something imperfect, and with every strike, you reveal the ideal shape. Building a system isn't a one-time act. It's a constant cycle of alternating between finding low-effort solutions and anticipating failures. It's an ongoing conversation with your own routine. What if I did it this way? Would it still work on my worst days? Each question turns every attempt into a lesson and every mistake into fine-tuning. Take someone who wants to add exercise into their life. The initial plan might be going to the gym after work. But after realizing traffic and fatigue are obstacles, a low-effort solution could be doing a 15-minute workout at home. If that still doesn't happen because of low energy, the adaptation might be working out first thing in the morning, before the day throws up barriers. It's a game of adjustments until you find the perfect fit. And in this game, accepting productive discomfort is essential. You'll change schedules, reorganize habits, maybe even cut something you enjoy to make room for what you need. At first, it's uncomfortable, but it's strategic discomfort, small compared to the weight of not making progress. And when the gears start turning, something few people expect happens. You end up with a system that breathes with you, adapting over time while keeping you consistent and moving forward. The final benefit. The real beauty of thinking in systems is realizing that effort doesn't have to increase for results to grow. It's like swapping a leaky bucket for a well-built reservoir. The water, your time and energy, stops draining away. Using the same effort as before, but in a smarter way, you gain more work-life balance, more freedom, and more control, while reducing that constant feeling of chasing after lost time. The magic happens when your automatic routine starts freeing up mental space. What once required willpower now becomes almost instinctive. And with that, you suddenly have energy for new projects, more time with your family, or even hobbies you'd forgotten about. You start living intentionally instead of in survival mode. It's like pointing your compass to the right north and letting the wind carry your boat forward. And as this engine keeps turning, something interesting happens. You realize you can apply the same logic to any area: health, finances, learning, relationships. The system becomes a repeatable model, a structure that ensures adaptability and growth. From then on, life stops being about trying and starts being about actually achieving what matters most. So, let me ask you, how much longer are you going to rely solely on willpower, waking up each day to fight the same battle without lasting results? Can you imagine what it would be like to wake up and simply follow an automatic routine that leads you straight to what matters, without that exhausting inner debate of should I or shouldn't I? That's not luck. That's a system. And systems are built, step by step, until they become unshakable. If you feel like you're always putting out fires, maybe it's time to change the strategy. Start small. Pick one area, identify the root cause of your obstacles, and design a process that works even on your worst day. Productive discomfort will show up, but remember, it's temporary. The comfort of not progressing? That one lasts forever. And not in a good way. Now I want to know, which part of your life most needs a system right now? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to see how you put this into action. And if you want to keep learning how to turn intentions into concrete results, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and let's build the life you truly deserve, together.